So everybody came for session today, but then the GM said they were only using PHB stuff, so session's canceled. It's us, the boys, the Session's Canceled podcast. It's just the three of us.
I want to argue already. Goddamn.
Yep. Yes, sir.
You did that on purpose.
I did do that on purpose, correct.
I see.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine.
Sam is once again lost to the warp, but we will goof for him. So it's me here, Isaiah, with the boys, Josh.
Yes, I am here and already salty. I guess it's better than you bringing up Fabricate in some fashion, though.
I was going to, but I didn't want to start this off with you being genuinely annoyed. So yeah, we got Josh, we got Matt.
Hello, I will be taking the role as Grogzag, the Braggart. It rolls for Sam. Honor him in the Wog.
No, the warp is different.
Right? Yeah.
The warp is different, not...
Fuck, I'm so bad at this.
Well, I mean, technically the orcs do have a small part of the warp for themselves. They do have two gods.
Yeah. No, I know,
right,
but when Wog is war,
yeah,
it's not warp. Difference.
No, we're going to war with the warp, Josh. Come on.
Oh, well, that's very orky.
He's part of Tuska's Wa.
Going to
get Demon Killer.
Going to war.
I like that
with
guy.
the war. With
I like
the
his
war.
name.
That's good and orky.
Gonna need a list of like the biggest, baddest orkies.
I will send them to you. Don't worry. But
really?
All right, boys. So I got to thinking. I've been thinking about this for a while now. I had a lot of fun during our hot/shit take episode, but I wanted to expand. I wanted to expand Dong, if you will.
All right. I don't know if we're gonna phrase it that way.
No, it's too late. We're expanding Dong. Doing the meme bois. No one can see it. I don't know why. But I thought, right, we've already done our shit takes/hot takes, and I didn't want to like either retread old ground or like start scraping the bottom of the barrel. So I perused the interwebs to find the interwebs hot takes, potentially shit takes.
Mm-hmm. Much like Neckbeardia searching 4chan. Isaiah was digging through Reddit's.
So I checked Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, RPG Exchange, a few other places.
All right, so like in your professional, highly researched, definitely not 5 minutes of reading opinion as an expert in this, which website had the worst takes?
Twitter, by far.
By far?
Not even a question.
Okay.
Not even a question.
Good to know. Good to know.
Take that, Elon.
Now, I did this with some stipulations. These takes here are not specifically hot takes. I very specifically did not look for like easy baits, obviously like million times treaded ground of like, you know, hot take, you should talk to your players. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Or anything particularly too politically inclined, because I just don't feel like that this is the place for that. What I went for specifically were some weird, controversial, potentially takes that are not automatically shit. I feel like you guys might agree with a few of them. Josh, you specifically.
I don't like getting called out.
This isn't a call out. I actually agree with quite a few of these myself.
The morally gray.
All right.
Yeah.
Options.
It feels like a call out, but all right, we'll see.
You'll see. Don't worry. So yeah, that's sort of my mindset. I wanted us to have some rousing discussion about the internet's potentially spiciest takes.
Oh yeah.
That being said, the first one, not particularly that spicy, but I wanted to bring it up as a good icebreaker, and it actually pertains to what the intro was.
One moment, I just D&D Beyond's tweeting.
Oh, do they be tweeting?
They do be tweeting. They be tweeting OGL things.
Oh baby.
Thanks to
dear readers, by the way, we are not going to be discussing readers. Listeners, we're not going to be discussing the OGL on
There's
this
nothing
show.
to say. Everyone's already said it.
Yeah, everyone's already said it, and honestly, at this point, we'd just be chasing drama, and we're not really about that, so we're just not going to talk about it. If you got a problem with it, you can kiss the firmest part of my ass.
The firmest part.
Nice.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, hot take number 1. There is no Dungeon Master shortage. Specifically, there's no shortage of people willing to run games, rather, simply there are too many players unwilling to compromise with GM restrictions and personal rulings. Thoughts?
That feels like a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other kind of statement. It's pretty milquetoast. Like,
But yeah, no, I know. Potential, like I said.
like
First one, good icebreaker.
basically, you're saying the problem isn't that we have no DMs. The problem is no one wants to DM. I'm like, well, that's the same statement in a slightly different flavor.
It's kind of,
The argument, I think, is more specifically, it's not that there aren't enough GMs, it's there's too many players who are a little spoiled.
Yeah, which is at the end of the day, like you can
words.
You can move you can move some numbers around, but you get the same answer to the equation there. So I don't know, like whatever, bro. That's just that screams of someone trying to sound like they're having a big brain thought by just rewording a commonly accepted thought.
I mean, I don't particularly disagree with what you just said.
So sure, yeah, I mean they're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, sure,
I agree. I mean, yeah, DMing, like, I know as fun as it can be, it is, there's a lot of, like, I'm gonna do finger quotes, work, that involves with it that, like, some people just don't want to get into in order to run games. It's not as bad, and again, like, if anything, like the Matt Colville videos have shown us, it isn't as bad. It's other things related to dungeon mastering that we get involved with that end up bogging the game down, bogging us down as DMs sometimes.
Yeah, but usually those are by choice.
True. Yeah, true. That's the thing. Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. Now wait. What was that last part they said specifically? Players unwilling to compromise personal rulings?
Yeah, they're unwilling to compromise with GM restrictions and personal rulings.
See, that one's weird because it's like, if you're playing a game and like, all right, hypothetically, let's say future Matt here. I'm banned, no multi-classing. All my players revolt. Never mind. Fuck you, Matt. I'm not playing your campaign anymore. I'm gonna make my own game with multi-classing and hookers. Probably multi-classing hookers. But, most players, they end up dealing with it because, like, again, there's not enough people wanting to run the game. It's way easier to be a player, so most people kind of. I feel like that's not really true. I don't know. I feel like most players.
Isaiah, do me a favor.
Yep.
Put that word for word in the chat for me.
Well, so here's the thing. I paraphrased it slightly. It's a whole
It's a whole paragraph.
You want the whole thing? Sure, I'll put the whole thing.
I think I do want the whole thing because now I'm thinking that this person. Can you copy and paste it? Yeah. Hold on. I want to read this.
I'll read along with it.
I'll read it out. I'll read it out because because I'm having a feeling now. This
is the last bit.
It's a pretty common refrain I've heard more than once. There aren't enough DMs to go around. Everyone wants to play, but no one wants to run. Everyone wants to play? Really? Question mark on both of those. Suppose I tell you I'm going to start running a game of D&D. I'm looking for players. Do you want to join up? Now, suppose I tell you that I'm not allowing homebrew and I'm running the game raw. Are you still interested? Now imagine that I'm telling you that it's a PHB only game. Are you still up for it? Still up for it. Or imagine that it's not D&D at all, but a nice high fantasy game of Savage Worlds, and D&D is just the term people throw around like Xerox or Kleenex.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That
one happens so much.
That happens for sure. The problem isn't that there's a shortage of DMs, GMs, or whatever. The problem is that there's a shortage of people who will run games to your exacting specification. The problem is there's The problem is that there's a shortage of people who will run games to your exacting specifications. People expect D&D to be like Monopoly or Risk, everyone using the same rules out of the box. So if my last two DMs let me make character options from Xanathars, but this DM won't, that clearly means there's a DM shortage. There is no DM shortage. There's just an excess of spoiled players who refuse to play in games that will give them everything they desire. So this person is canceling out their own argument in a weird way because,
also you can't as a player expect every GM to have the same rule. That's something that I feel like most players should understand, like right off the bat. Every player.
So-
yeah, they should understand off the bat. Like one DM's going to run the game their own way, another one's going to be their way. No, the whole no one is Matthew Mercer. Stop it. Like he runs his game his way. Your DM is running theirs that way.
What they're saying here is players feel like they can't find a DM because they're making too many personal rules and not willing to join games. But no, okay, actually, okay.
Like hypothetically, let's say Josh,
Okay,
you
follow.
want to run a D&D game, and you specifically say, guys, I'll allow whatever books. However, there's only humans.
Right.
I'm not running a game. I would still play in that game because it's you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
it's
yeah, okay. See, now that I've read the whole statement, I'm okay. I'm gonna redact. I was about to roast the shit out of this person. I'm gonna redact slightly. I do still think there is a DM shortage by the mere fact of the ratio is out of whack, but I see what they're getting at.
Okay.
What they're getting at.
So your initial your now that you've got a better look on it, not a shit take.
No, I mean, it is still sort of a rephrasing of the same problem, right? Like, this isn't like a new thought. It is, you are still saying there's a DM shortage. You're just saying it in a slightly fancier fashion. But yeah, no, it makes more, now that I've read because when you said it initially, just that one paragraph, I was feeling a little like unsure of their phrasing, but now that I see their whole statement, I get. All right, yeah, I get what you're getting.
I had a
at.
feeling it might happen. That's why I kept the actual paragraph handy.
Yeah, I get what you're getting at here. I can comprende. Yeah, I don't know.
what was your initial thought when you saw this take, Isaiah?
I actually agreed with it, to be honest.
There are definitely elements of truth for sure.
Yeah.
This is sort of the I've literally done this to people, when I first started. I don't really do this shit anymore, but my first year or so in, people being like, we're doing it this way. And I was like, but that's not how this other person does it. And, not just Mercer, but people you look up online.
Yeah.
So I've definitely done that before. And, you sort of learn, and I probably did that up until I started running, to be honest. Because, I have my own way of running things that people don't necessarily agree with. You just sort of accept it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, also, to sort of expand, sorry, I had to swallow there. To kind of expand upon their point, a lot of people will hear restrictive rules like, oh, we can only use the PHP, right? They'll hear
feats.
They'll hear stuff like that. Yeah. They'll hear shit like that and then immediately jump out the nearest window and say, fuck it. When in actuality, if you hear the reason why the GM is saying that, you might actually agree and then be back on board. Your GM might say, we're only using PHP. And then the player goes, oh no. And then the GM says, because I'm doing a really, really methodical homebrew world and I have a bunch of homebrew races that are adjustments or entirely new races that would cover stuff that would be in Xanathar's. And now the player's like, oh, well, now I'm interested again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you can't play an Aarakocra. I'm saying you have to play my version of the Aarakocra. Example. That's a fuckload of work to do, but you know what I mean? Right? So I feel like a lot of people jump straight to the, oh no, but without listening to the reasoning. And that's where a lot of the problem is too. Because you should listen to the reasoning, because usually when a DM says something like that, they do have a reason.
Yeah,
they're not just throwing it out there. There's a purpose.
Yeah. Although I do way too far from the mic. I do agree that sometimes it is the Nick Fury, considering that it's a stupid decision. There is those events. That's not impossible. But,
no, I'm not saying it's impossible.
Right.
I'm just saying you should listen to the what their reasoning is first before you decide.
Right. if they say it's something like this is actually a ruling I keep hearing about from DMs where they ban like subclasses, and it's like I just don't get what the subclass does. I just don't get what flavor, how it fits in the story. So I ban it. And I'm like, well, you could, again, like, and this is the thing I joked with you the other day, Josh. It's like, this is imaginary, right? This is pretend. So you can pretend it fits in your fucking world and don't be a dickhead.
Yeah, and I honestly, I saw one person with a take that said, there's no reason to ban anything that's like official. I don't necessarily agree with that take.
Yeah,
but I do understand where it's coming from.
I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far in either direction.
Well, so I get the reasoning because it's like, well, it's official, so it must have been like play tested, and the guys that made the game know what they're doing. But again, not to fucking add more shit to the pile of Wizards of the Coast at the moment. But we've been seeing in the last like 4-5 years of them not play testing shit, not double checking things, and shit getting out there, and now every fucking mid-maxing munchkin being like, like there are things that slip through the cracks. And you go to other third party, and the same thing happens. They'll come out with stuff and subclasses and magic items that are great, and then there are some that slip through the cracks, and you're like, why the fuck wasn't this play tested? It happens both ways. It happens, everyone does it.
I mean, I rarely come at it from the, like, if I'm saying you can't play X thing, for me, it's very rarely from a mechanical standpoint. It's almost always from some sort of fictional or story or tone thing. Yeah. It's almost always a tone thing. Yeah, I don't know.
So it seems like
I had another thought, but I forgot it anyway. So
fair enough. Seems like the consensus for that one, not a shit take.
Yeah,
it's like 60-40.
No, I'll say not. I get what they're getting at.
Yeah, so
I get what they're getting at. They just worded it either that or they worded it specifically to like make people annoyed.
Oh,
or make people like when they read it, like
it's definitely written to be slightly incendiary for sure.
Yeah, something happened in this person's game and they're salty about it.
That is honestly, I saw some people being like, "There's no point in doing shit takes because you can never it's impossible to boil down a really nuanced thought into a few words." And it's like, yes, however, there is something to say about you can have pretty nuanced, simple thoughts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not impossible. You don't need an essay to accurately depict a thought you have. If you do, it's probably a really niche thought, which is not bad, but you do have to kind of accept it for what it is.
I mean, a basic sentence can have a lot to it. It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be long and girthy just to make a point necessarily. Like, there's a lot of the stuff this person said in that statement. They could have cut that down way shorter if they wanted.
True. Goith. Good Ogren. Now that we have that one out of the way, time for the second one. Flashbacks are the worst thing to happen to heists.
You tell me there's more to that one right now, I swear to God.
No, there's nothing else.
I feel bad because this is so specifically a Blades in the Dark type of thing. I have no frame of reference.
You don't need a no, Matt. Don't think about it as. Don't think about it from. Don't think about it from the game term. Just think about it in like a heist movie.
Yeah.
And then just think about that. The thing in the heist movie where they flash back to when they set up the trap.
Well, again, you're coming from the guy that's played Payday 2 since it's come out, and it's literally just like, all right, guys, pre-plan beforehand. All right, let's go in, and then
no, but all the flashback mechanic is. I assume this person is talking about Blades in the Dark. All the flashback mechanic is it's the scene in the heist movie where, one of the robbers walks up to the door and the door opens in front of them, even though it's supposed to have been locked. And then you flash back to the guy being like, I planted the lock, the lock breaker on it 1 hour before we arrived. That's all the mechanic. Right. That's the mechanic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it really is that simple.
So they're saying
what it is.
So they're saying that, you shouldn't have the flashback thing in the game specifically made for the flashback mechanic?
No, No, apparently that's what they're saying. Like,
hold on. I need you to read that again for me verbatim.
No, don't worry. I posted it.
Oh, you posted it. Flashbacks are the worst thing that happened. I just
I knew this was gonna say. I put this in here to set up Josh.
I can't. Yo, I cannot imagine. That's you just sat down. What this person said is, this mechanic specifically designed to reinforce and elevate the genre that this game is supposed to be emulating is bad.
It was a mistake, basically. Yeah.
Like, I can't even.
Can you imagine? I want to imagine.
I'm trying to think of the Steelman argument for this.
Yeah, I don't think you can, but I want to imagine the world, the fantasy land, where you have a game based on heists that has no flashback or contingency mechanic.
Yeah,
do you basically just sit there and let your players faff about for 2 hours to plan for something that's going to go wrong step one, and that you find enjoyment? You want that to happen.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
That's your outset.
Yeah, well, because that's the other thing about the flashback mechanic is the flashback mechanic is meant to solve a very specific problem, which is your players faffing about for 2 to 4 hours about a plan that's probably going to go awry in 10 minutes anyway. So the whole point of the flashback mechanic is you solve that problem by saying, yeah, get into the mission, and then if you need a contingency, you just use the flashback. The idea that would be bad, like, I've been sitting here this whole time trying to think of I've been trying to see their side of the argument here. I really genuinely cannot.
No, of course not, because it's so
holy fuck
nonsensical, and maybe there's something to say about maybe this person had a more nuanced thought, but like, I don't see how you could.
I would love to hear a follow-up post of what their argument is, like why, because I can't conceive of why. I literally don't like it's literally every single heist movie ever. That's that's the thing you do. That is a staple of the genre. Like, I can't, I'm trying to think of like a comparable example to show how dumb this is. I mean, it's like having a sci-fi movie with no laser guns. Like, you can't, like, that's basically illegal. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a staple. It's like you're sitting down and be like, yeah, guys, so we're gonna play D&D, but man, do I hate spells, so we're not gonna use spells. Huh? Like, it doesn't, like, yeah, I really like samurai movies that don't have katanas in them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's basically what this person's saying.
It's or honorably fist fight to the death.
It's the Western with no fucking
shootout.
Yeah, no shootout.
Yeah. It's the Western with no shootout. Like, what? So it's not a Western, is what you're telling me.
They just pull out cards. And you're like, got any threes?
They just play poker. Holy shit.
Someone gets caught cheating and they look at each other and go, I would shoot you right now if I could, but I can't.
If I could.
I don't have a gun.
If I knew what a gun was, I'd shoot you with it.
All right now. All right, I don't know if any takes are gonna top how shit that one is.
No, I mean,
that's right here is 5-star classic.
That's a 5-star shit take. Yeah. Oh yeah. If we're using Michelin stars, 3 out of 3, baby.
Yeah, baby.
God damn. That's.
Congratulations, you won.
Holy shit. Yeah, you did. Holy shit.
Yeah, it is. I had a fun time with that one. I wanted the dichotomy, right? I wanted the one that was like, this is kind of logical. Yeah, I can see where this is coming from.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Fucking the nadir, just the lowest fucking point.
Oh my god.
I do love Josh being like, there better be something else to that fucking argument.
I thought there was more.
No. This is the internet. You don't get anything else.
Just a
I'm wondering if there's one
tweet.
shorter than this.
Nothing. Yes, there is. There's one shorter.
Oh no.
It's one of the honorable mentions, and I love it's the one for Josh.
How many of these are specifically for Josh?
Well, that one was just to see Josh mauled for a second, but also I did it. I wanted to see him mauled because I sat there for an hour making this list maulding. I shit you not. This sounds like a joke. I'm not. I opened this up on a separate tab and I just kept doing research, and every so often I would look back over at it. Yeah, I just look at me like, what a fucking months you are. Like,
oh my god.
Like, what a goob. I feel a little bit bad about calling the person who posted this a goob. That's kind of why I kept all of them anonymous.
Josh,
what a fucking goob take.
When you run Blades in the Dark for us one time for like a one shot or whatever, just remember we can't use flashbacks. It's gotta be
no flashbacks.
I just can't do it. No flashbacks mode. It's hard mode.
It's just
in Payday. This is what we call one down.
Oh my god. I'm still thinking about it. Like this is gonna live rent free in my brain for so long.
Good. Someone send this to Zbashu and just be like, "What
similar
opinions?"
This has really similar energy to Luffy's Red Rock is the more iconic ability.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh my god. Yes.
This has that energy.
One Piece is more popular than Dragon Ball.
Let's not forget the gem of a take of just because something's well known doesn't mean it's iconic.
That made it even more. I mean,
yeah, that would. I feel like that elevated it from like good memes to just fucking like cue picture of Chowder with the golden book that says comedy gold, like perfection.
It's on the same level. Like I just I keep looking back and then I think about it more. Fucking god. Take me away from here, I beg of you.
Okay, all right. Here's one that's a little bit more nuanced. Okay. So the take is players who show up to socialize with fellow players rather than to physically explore dangerous places should be culled from your table. They place an uneven burden on other players by not pulling their own weight in terms of player skill. The share of the treasure they take reduces the progression earned by the other players who are here to use their wit to get past the dangers of the underworld. These players should be better served by just hanging out with their friends at a separate event. Your player pool should be drawn from the players who fall into the power and performance model, traditional as played by in the early 80s. RPGs shine when they are played as a team sport. That's a lot to read. I'll post it.
So the last bit, like as a team, yes, team sport ?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
That got weirder and weirder as it went on.
Because that's the whole point. Like socializing is the whole point of this fucking game. Of these games.
Yeah, like, it's great, right? Because I picked this one because there are nuggets. There's tiny little nums in there that you're like, oh, I can kind of see what you're. And then he says called at the table, and you're like, what?
Yeah. First of all, okay.
Yeah.
If you unironically say they should be culled from your table, you should be culled from the universe, my guy. Like,
all right, kids. Everyone, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna look at this one bit by bit. All right. We're gonna break this one down because I can't address this as one big statement because this is
like the Angry Joe like talking to CD Projekt Red. You're like, what are you doing hanging out with those other kids adding microtransactions to your games? What are you doing? You're better than this. Like,
all right. All right. First of all, let me just address the word "cull" is that's really aggressive. Like saying "cold" from your table. I mean, it sounds like you're gonna like string all your players up and fucking hang them from your balcony or something. Like cold is just not the word to be using.
Back in the 70s, all we had was our beer, our pretzels, and our dungeons, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So players who show up to socialize with fellow players rather than physically explore dangerous places. Nobody's physically doing anything.
Yeah, that
y'all
was great.
playing make believe with clicky clack math rocks. Nobody's physically doing anything other than eating chips and throwing math rocks. All right, let's not. I don't know about you, but I don't build actual escape rooms for my players when we play.
Yeah, I've never actually punched a goblin's head off. No. I don't know about you.
No.
My barbarian macho man reference, would love to punch a dragon in the face. Me, Matt, if I see a dragon the first time,
would prefer not to.
I'm just gonna fucking sit on a plate and just be like, all right, bro, I'll make it quick.
Yeah. I'm shitting myself.
Yeah. They place an uneven burden on other players by not pulling their own weight in terms of player skill.
What?
Sentence number 2 and sentence number 1 feel like two different complaints.
Yeah. They do, yes.
They don't even really feel like I get why you're putting them together, but they don't even really feel like they're the same complaint. Placing an uneven burden on the other players. All right, first of all, some players like the extra weight, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, let's just start there. Like me, I'm the kind of player where I will just take over if the other players aren't doing anything. And I don't care. That's something I want to do because I always like the sound of my own voice because I'm a narcissistic sociopath and I never shut the fuck up. So some people just are gonna pick up more slack than others just by choice. But also, what player skill? Are you giving everyone a ranking? Like, are we placing everyone in a bronze through diamond system? Are we playing league? I don't understand.
It's like Jeremy. He's over here. He's the Hexblade, Divine Vote, Soul Sorcerer, Paladin, Fighter multi-class. Yeah, and then you have Bob over here who's playing a fucking monk.
Yeah. I can't believe you just did but you can call me Percy with your fucking player. That was fucking amazing.
I love you, Wolf. I'm sorry.
But yeah. And also, this sounds like this second sentence I could go on for hours, I feel like.
A little bit.
This second sentence just feels like a problem of one, half your table wants to play one game and half your table wants to play another game, and you guys didn't have that discussion ahead of time, which you should.
You have the very serious ranger, and then you have the furball clown barbarian.
Slap happy Jack.
Well, it's like
I love that comment.
It's like half your players want to play the dungeon crawler game, and half your players want to play the Critical Role rom-com fuckfest game. And you didn't have that conversation ahead of time, so now you're trying to have a fuckfest in the dungeon, and things are getting weird.
I don't know about that. Sounds like a good time to me, but if you talk about it, sure.
I think the best would be like both groups come together and DM's like, guys, I'm running Kingmaker, right? This is an exploration type of game. What the fuck are you doing,
guys? I thought we were playing Shadow of the Demon Lord. I don't. This is Morkborg. No one's supposed to be happy.
This is Morkborg. Yo, okay. It's unrelated, but I've never actually looked at the rulebook for Morkborg. But the second I heard that there was a game called Morkborg, I was like, no, I want to play this. I don't give a shit. This sounds amazing.
Morkborg is like if you wanted to play basic D&D through the lens of over the top 80s heavy metal or death metal.
This sounds amazing. What the
fuck? There's also a scripture to Satan or some shit in the back of the book that says when you're done playing the game, you have to burn the book. Morkborg's a crazy game.
This is like, what if we just took Brutal Legends, just made an RPG?
Yeah, it
sounds amazing.
It's wild. Yeah. Anyway, next, the share. The share of treasures they take reduces the progression earned by the other players who are here to use their wits and get past the dangers of the under. Are you just complaining about loot distribution? That's not even your problem as a GM. What?
That's a weird one. If it's like, the social player took the +3 sword.
Yeah, whatever. As long as everyone's cool with it.
Yeah,
that's just a dumb thing to bitch about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far, already getting negative reviews right now. This is getting my most lengthiest Yelp review.
These players would be better served by just hanging out with their friends at a separate event. So this is basic. This sentence is assuming they don't want to play at all, which is probably. Excuse me. Which is often, it's not that they don't want to play. It might just be they want to play a slightly different game or want to play a different vibe. They're just not, you want to play D&D, they want to play Monster Hearts. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't want to play at all. Like just because I want to play Monster Hearts and you want to play D&D doesn't mean that, oh no, what I actually want to do is like go to a club and flirt with people. Like no, I don't want to. I want to play Monster Hearts. Just because it's different doesn't mean it. Like that's such a weird, like, if you don't want to play the style of game I want to play, obviously you're better off at a social event. Like, huh? What? Okay. And then your player pool should be drawn from players who fall into power and performance model. That's a fucking dumb sentence. I'm not breaking that one down.
Yeah, that one.
That's just a dumb sentence. I can't even. That's a dumb sentence. And then traditional, as played by in the early 80s RPGs, shine when they are played as a team sport. Okay. So what you're saying is you just want to play old school D&D, so you should just find a group of players who want to play old school D&D. You don't have to say everyone else is a poo-poo shithead because of that.
Yeah, you know
and
what?
There are a bunch of other games you can play, like Dungeon Crawl Classic or Old School Essentials, if you're for that vibe. Like, yeah,
but also like, you don't have to complain about other people not. This is just. You know what this is? This is a guy who got a
grognard.
Who finally. I mean, yes. Yes, but other than that, this is a guy who finally got a group together after a fucking 3 years of not getting a group together. But some of the group didn't want to play the fucking meat grinder AD&D fest that he wanted to play, so he got mad about it. That's what this is.
My favorite would be like if he's the DM and one of the players is like, "Hey, can I play a character in a wheelchair?" And then he's just like breaks all of his pencils in his hands. He's like, "What?
Yeah,
fucking ask me what?"
Yes. Yeah,
combat wheelchair.
I mean, I like this. This is like, I'm not even gonna ordain this with a shit or not shit take. You're just being an asshole. Like,
yeah,
you're just being a dick, bro. Like. Just, I get it. You're frustrated that your players don't want to play the game you play. That's why you talk about things ahead of time and make sure that everyone's playing the style of game that everyone wants to play. This goes back to the same fucking problem that this, all right, it's kind of a I don't want to, okay.
Yes, Josh, mauled. Do it for content.
Well, I'm trying to think about how, because I don't want to bring up he who should not be named necessarily, but he used to say this a lot. Whatever, I'm just going to say it. All right, this is the thing Adam Coble used to say so much that it became a meme in the community. And before anyone on the internet asks, yes, I'm very well aware of what happened with Adam Coble.
You dare speak his name?
I know it. I followed him from basically day one. Yes, I know what happened. But something he used to say a lot that I can still agree with because it's a correct statement, even though he's a poo-poo head, is talk to your players. Talk to your players. Like,
open communication.
That's what this is. This is, and I mean, it literally became so much of a joke, like the talk to your players thing, that he did a separate series of videos that were just relationship advice because he was often giving relationship advice in the GM advice because talk to your players is so often the answer. You know, that's what this is. That's what this, you're being an asshole. I don't know how else to cut the chicken. You're being an asshole. I just made a saying up.
I don't know how else to cut the chicken.
I don't know why I said that.
What the fuck?
I don't know why I said that.
I'm just confused now.
I feel like there's another saying that I was going for, but I couldn't remember, so I made one up on the fly as I was talking.
I gotta look that one up. That's good. Yeah, you know, my initial thought, or not my initial thought, my takeaway from this, as I was making it was, did you just advocate for RPG eugenics? I feel like this is a weird.
Yeah, that's the other problem, is the way they worded it is really aggro.
Let's take all the social people and push them somewhere else.
Yeah, like, bro,
and call them.
Yeah, you don't. That's the other thing, right? Is you did not need to be that aggro about this. You could have said this in a much calmer. Like, I understand you are frustrated. You could have said this
if they said kick from your table or ban from your table. That would
not even that. No, because that's not even really what it is. It's not. It's just this player just wanted to play a certain kind of game and the other players didn't. Like, all you needed to do, homie, was word this a little bit more nicely and explain your frustrations. That's all you had to do, bud. You know? Like, that's really the crux of it for me. You know?
Yeah.
Fucking Christ. I
TLDR, cull your players. All of them.
No.
Literally all of them. Not a single
that's
one.
not the TLDR.
Rocks fall, everyone dies. Kill them all.
Oh, fuck. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to even ordain that with a shit take. You're just being an asshole.
Fair enough. Although I feel like that level of condemnation pretty much automatically makes it a shit take.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I just
Fair
wanted to
enough.
extrapolate further on that one. I don't know, Matt, you have anything to add on that?
No.
Okay.
Take not cool.
Yeah.
Take not cool.
As Sam would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take very not cool.
Yeah.
Here from
Extremely
Warp even
not
now.
cool.
Fucking Christ.
All right. Time for numero. Oh, we're actually blitzing through these. I'm a little
That
worried.
one got me a little lightheaded.
Okay, this one's actually the longest one, so this could be a good
God.
Okay.
metric.
Okay.
Not metric, stopgap. So this one, the thesis statement is, dice are the least fun way to generate randomness. And there's 4 specific parts of this, so I'm gonna read them out part by part. We're gonna take them part by part, and I'll post them.
I already wish Sam was here for this one.
Yeah, I do too. I was really hoping he was gonna be here, actually.
Okay.
So, thesis: dice are the least fun way to generate randomness. Exhibit A: especially if your dice mechanics give rise to a uniform distribution. There is nothing structurally in the way of an overly lopsided adventure. One player can have shit rolls all night and constantly fail, while another just has a hot streak and can't do anything wrong. It doesn't often happen, but play long enough and it will. With the rules provided, there isn't much to overcome it.
Okay.
So, I don't think this is a shit take. I do disagree with this, because while it is shitty for that person in the moment, that sort of assumes that things are going to swing around eventually, right? Like, this is the pendulum. Like, one person's on one side having god tier luck, one person's on the other side. And it might be annoying that night, or for, like, maybe, you know, if you really have the wheat and dice curse, maybe you've just got god tier levels or hell tier levels of shit luck, right?
Yeah.
But
All right.
sort of, like, this argument sort of assumes that this one player is like the mysterious younger brother player. And if you don't have uniformity across the board, then you can't have things like modifiers, right? You can't have like a standard for modification to numbers.
Might as well just flip a coin at that point. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a shit take, but it was interesting.
Well, all right. Post this one up.
Okay.
Post this, because there was multiple things in there. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Pause. Like, okay. I need to hit this first point immediately, because dice are the least fun way to generate randomness. How else are you gonna do it?
They bring it up later. Don't worry.
Oh, there's more here.
oh,
Yeah, there's more. Yeah,
This is
one of
okay.
the
points.
Okay.
Or 3 points?
Okay. So I'll put that one. I'll put that one on hold. Okay. Especially if your dice mechanics give rise to uniform distribution. There is nothing structurally in the way of an overly lopsided adventure. No, uniform distribution would imply that things aren't lopsided. What? If there's a uniform okay. I guess he's saying, right, but having an ununiform distribution, you can still have the same problem. It doesn't matter how the distribution is. No, that doesn't even. Yeah, that sentence doesn't even make any sense, because a uniform distribution lowers the likelihood that one player has a really bad time and one player has a really good time, right? That's what the point of the uniform distribution should be. So they're contradicting themselves. Right?
A little bit. That's what it seems like.
Right? Because if you're saying the problem with the uniform distribution is, someone could fall out the distribution, it's like, well, yeah, but if it's less uniform, they're more likely to fall out the distribution.
Yeah, you kind of get the one person might be unlucky for the night. 2, well, there's no, like, it is pure luck at that point. There is no...
Yeah, it's like you go from one person might have a bad time to like guaranteeing someone has a bad time almost. Which is why so many people criticize using a D20 because the distribution is not uniform in a lot of ways and is quite bad actually mathematically. But like,
I think this person is an orc player.
So
they just want to live or die by the 50-50. And you know what? I respect it. I respect that.
But then they're arguing against the 50-50, right? Because then they're saying there's nothing getting in the way of a lopsided adventure. One player can have shit rolls and constantly fail, while another can have a hot streak and can't do anything wrong. So like, they're just arguing against themselves, I feel like. So I'm not even gonna, I have no further statement on this. You're not even making any sense, sir. And or madam. And or they person. Like, I guess give us the next chunk.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. Unless one of you guys thinks I'm reading this wrong.
No, I see what you're saying, right? Like the idea that you want to remove uniformity to increase potential randomness is a good thing. You remove the idea that characters are just intrinsically good at some things that they've either trained in or they just have an intrinsic skill towards it, like having better eyesight. So by removing those things, by removing the uniformity, you remove the capability for someone to buffer themselves from
you
awful fucking rolls.
Yeah. And then you're saying dice are a bad way to generate randomness. And then you say, especially if you have uniform distribution. But like, it's the other way around.
Exhibit B.
Yeah, okay.
Dice pools are better because they give a bell curve. Normal results feel more like a usual outcome rather than extreme possibilities happening within regularity. Still, hot/cold streaks can and do happen. Also, the larger the pool of dice, the more tedious things feel.
So desu ne. Oh, someone that's played Shadowrun once or twice. Comprende. Okay.
Comprende, papi.
Comprende, papi. Si, senor. Yeah, okay. All right. So, okay, so this person is saying D20 bad, pool of D6 is good because you can sort of manipulate the bell curve further. That still doesn't fix the fact that their first statement contradicts itself.
Removes uniformity.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I feel that it sort of counters it even more because you come with I believe the intended meaning is that you come to more middle of the road outcomes rather than extremes, right? That's what they said.
Yes. So yeah, dice pools mathematically, you have more control over the numbering outcomes because it's the great sword versus great axe situation, right? A D12 versus 2D6. The 2D6 guarantees you a better minimum damage, so you're guaranteed like better averages versus the D12, right? That's what dice pools do, is by having a pool of D6s, if I roll 4 D6s, I'm going to get a minimum of 4 as a, result. Now, the problem there is a lot of dice pool games don't actually look at the individual number, and usually the way a dice pool works is you have to beat a target number on each individual die that then counts towards your success count. So that changes the math. But okay, all right, I kind of see where you're getting. Although I will say, saying dice are the least way to generate randomness and then saying dice are better, like, right? Like, because when they said dice are the least fun, I thought they meant don't use any dice at all. That's what I thought that first sentence meant. Like, no dice, ever. Like, I thought they were gonna say you should base all your mechanics around, like, card draws or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, they're saying using a single die is bad, using a pool of die is good, is what they're saying. But you're still using dice. Huh. Okay. All right. Matt, do you have any...
Not really, because I haven't played Shadowrun. I know a little bit of the dice pool mechanic.
I mean, you don't need to pay Shadowrun to get what they're getting at.
Right.
It's just the point is a dice pool just lets you kind of have a little more control over the math via statistics, basically. And the way a dice pool works in most games is pretty simple. It's just so every die that goes over, like, let's say a 4 is a hit. You know, that's a hit on that die. So if you roll 4 dice and 2 of the dice, one die rolls a 4 and one die rolls a 5, you got 2 hits. And depending on the game, some games you only need 1 hit to succeed. Some games you need multiple hits versus a number. So like in Burning Wheel, if the GM says this is an ob2 test, that means obstacle 2, you have to get 2 hits on your dice to succeed. That's it.
Okay.
It's still a DC style. It's still like there's still a difficulty to everything. You just, the way you get to it's different. It's not. It's also not just Shadowrun. Lots of games.
Right.
Exhibit C. Cards are probably my favorite way to do RNG.
God
you are
damn it!
guaranteed to have good and bad results, and your streak can only go so long. Add this sort of mechanical ingenuity we've seen from tabletop board games using cards. I think cards are massively underutilized. Now, I've never
hear you fucking Magic the Gathering loser.
All right. Let me just let me just take a moment to apologize for me once again flexing my psychic powers. I didn't mean to do that.
Did you have a feeling that we're going to bring up using cards?
I literally said that. Did you not hear me?
Oh yeah.
I literally said I thought this person was going to say you should use a card system.
Oh yeah, no, I must have missed that.
Matt, did you hear me say that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I literally just I knew. God, I hate that I knew where this was going. Okay. Listen,
I've been to plenty of Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. I see how those kids shuffle decks. They're not RNG.
Yeah, right.
They cut them decks specifically. Yeah. I saw the episode of Yu-Gi-Oh. I know how this works.
Well, that's not actually how you shuffle, but yeah. I mean, okay. I guess. I think this person's perhaps discounting, like, you're comparing tabletop to like board games and and card games, but part of a lot of people want the increased randomness is something people are looking for in tabletop games that they might not be looking for in board games. Because in a board game, you're competing with each other. In a tabletop game, you're not. The randomness can actually be a fun element, even if it's bad randomness. So this person's kind of assuming that everyone wants to be amazing and succeed 24/7, which is sort of not the case, really, you know? That's why so many games, rather than designing a game where you can't fail or you're unlikely to fail, what a lot of games do is they make failure interesting. So whether you succeed or fail, you get a good outcome either way, rather than trying to manipulate the success chances. So, like, you know.
I also, I mean, I think a less nuanced thought, and my personal take on it is, if I'm on a lucky streak, I don't want it to run out. And if I'm running a game, I don't want my players' luck to run out. Like, I've never been like, God, I hope they fail this check. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I kind of, like, right, there's like times where it's like, oh, I hope they don't see this monster sneaking up on them. So yeah, I guess in that sense, I'm like, if they fail, it'll be more interesting.
There's times where them failing a check could be interesting in like a narrative perspective. But that's why I said a lot of games try to make failure interesting, right? Because there is that can be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anything less fun as a player, right? Then, like, once you learn the math of the card system, whatever card system you're using, and you're like, oh, well, I've rolled really good tonight, but I got to do that. What do they say in, what's the pin ultimate bard thing in Pathfinder, like playing a concert for the gods?
Yeah, basically.
And it's like, well, I can only roll low. Like, I'm fucked. I can't do anything else now.
Right, I've already drawn all my aces from the deck.
Yeah, I don't want that.
I've drawn 4 aces. Yeah, it creates Yeah, that's actually a weird thing too, right? I've already drawn all my face cards. Like, let's assume face cards are good in this system. I've drawn all of my face cards already, and now I have to do something really hard, and I know for a fact it is 100% impossible. Because I know I drew all my good face cards already. Which is, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that is also true, and that's a really weird scenario to be in. And yeah, I also would not want that. And you know, in terms of the wanting the lucky streak to end, I'm kind of getting the impression this person's arguing in the other direction. They're saying they want a system where bad streaks can end, is more what they're getting at, you know? I think they're kind of arguing. I don't think they're saying they want players' good luck to go away. I don't think
that might not be what they're saying, but that is they did say good and bad results, so yes, but I am sort of thinking about this in the sense of, like, as a player, again, I don't want my luck to end, so I'm gonna try to hold on to it as hard as possible.
Yeah, you know? Plus when you get into a card system, you can start counting cards, and you can start playing in a very reserved fashion if you know, like, I've used X many of this card, and then I know there's a lot of weird card counting. Right, that's literally the skill element in poker. Yeah,
it's also not that hard. Fun fact, fun fact for you. My teacher, my high school trig teacher, taught us how to count cards, and that was a homework assignment. Nice. We had to count cards. I think we had to do 100 like hands, I think is what it was called. And he was like, "Okay, use this system and write down the results. If you do it right, your estimates should be within this margin of error." And you best believe all the students who were like never paying attention in class were counting cards real good that
night. Yeah. I mean,
myself included.
I mean, here's the thing. I'll give this person credit. If I came across an RPG that had a really well-designed and interesting method of using cards for everything, I'm intrigued, that's for sure. You know, like,
I'm actually interested in looking up like tabletop games based on card systems.
So there's I know of one. There's Deadlands, which is not 100% based on cards, but it has certain mechanics based on cards. And I know Initiative works around a card deck, which is interesting. And I believe Dogs in the Vineyard has a card mechanic, some kind, or a gambling mechanic built into it of some kind, but I don't remember the specifics because it has been a while since I watched the actual play that I watched for that game. But yeah, there are games that do use cards, but I don't know of any game that's 100% based around a card deck.
Right.
But if you were to do that, I think you would need other mechanics to manipulate the deck. Such, you know, particularly if everyone's using from, is everyone, like, there's a lot of questions that come to mind. Is everybody pulling from one deck? Is there any kind of hand sharing mechanic? Is there a shuffle the deck and put every card back mechanic? You know, there's a lot of questions that start to pop up. So you would need to definitely think about a lot of that, because the thing about dice is they have a certain consistency. They can only do a certain kind of thing, and all they have on them are numbers, whereas cards, you're dealing with suits, numbers, and colors. So there's other mechanics you can put in there, as well as counting and all this other stuff. So, you know, I'm not against the thought. This also, though, doesn't seem like a reason to say dice bad. No.
Right.
No, right? I mean, I don't know. It's sort of, I can see what the reason is. Now that we've sort of talked about it, I kind of do understand where they're coming from. Like, I wouldn't call this a shit take by any means. It is simply a take I just disagree with strongly. You know?
Yeah.
So are we leveling this between good take, bad take, and shit take, or good take, oh meh, and then shit take?
More like a good take, controversial take, bad take.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's a semi controversial take. I wouldn't call it a shit take. I see what they're implying. I do think there's a little bit of a logical fallacy though for them that they're not considering, in that just because the card thing is an interesting and nuanced idea doesn't also mean dice bad, right? Like,
right.
You can say card system cool, dice also cool for different reasons, right? I don't like them shitting on dice. I think that's the part that bugs me. I think you're kind of, especially because again, some people really like the chaos of the dice. Like that's what they want. And you're sort of ignoring that.
That's why people love rolling for stats. They love the randomness and the chance of like, ooh, I could roll really high or I can get a 5 intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the part that bugs me. I'm not going to say it's a shit take, but I don't like them shitting on dice across the board. Not a fan of that particular aspect.
And now, to polish things off with Exhibit D.
I forgot there was.
Oh, they have another one?
Forgot there was another chunk of this. Is this where I get mad? Is this where I get mad?
Dice are one of the few holdout mechanics from old war games, and I wish more designers left them behind. So yes,
bro, I was on your team. I was arguing your side. I made the Iron Golem for you. I was on your team, and then you had to go and be a dick about it. I'm so disappointed right now.
Didn't we just say like last week dice were like used back in like ancient Egypt and Japan?
Yes.
Like dice have been around way longer than war games. Like
I feel like
a universal thing.
I feel like a disappointed father right now. I was on your team. I was arguing your corner. I said, I see what you're getting at. You have some valid points. You're maybe not seeing the whole picture, but you're getting at something. And then you had to make your last sentence be a dick about it.
Yep.
God damn, that almost pushes it over into a shit take. I can't,
Looks like we both learned a lesson today, son.
Dude.
We learned that you can't, have a compelling argument, and I learned I shouldn't have faith in the internet.
Yeah, like
we both lost today.
I can't. I wish more designers left them behind. Like it's some sort of like
it's holding
everyone back. Like it's some sort of cursed bullshit that we keep. Oh my god! Like they're arguing.
If they didn't have so many holes in the argument, like I could be like, all right, well maybe there is a reason that like
there's so many ways you could have worded that last sentence. Yeah. Like saying I wish more designers left them behind is making it sound like it's equivocating it to like the way like
it's detrimental. It's harming the gaming sphere.
It's equivocating it to like mistreatment of women in movies or something like that. Like, oh, I wish we left that old 50s nonsense behind type thing. It's like, it's not harmful. It's, like, no, it's just a different way to, first of all, this whole argument, especially with this final sentence, you're ignoring the fact that so many different games have used the dice. There's gotta be a reason that everyone's using them. If they were bad, everyone wouldn't use them. Right?
It's not just tabletop games, board games in general, like Monopoly, fucking like.
Yeah. Video games use dice.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fake dice, but they are dice rolls essentially, right?
Yeah,
they're random number
ones
generating.
And zeros, yeah.
It's random number generating. So like the idea that the dice are bad. So you're telling me that like 90% of RPGs are bad because they're using dice? God damn it. God,
mission accomplished.
Yeah, you knew that last sentence was gonna get me.
I did, correct.
Who knew that last sentence was gonna get me?
You might be my scapegoat for content, and I am I'm sorry for that. But you can sort of see why I couldn't resist. No,
yeah, man, I was, I can't. especially because I was arguing in this person's corner the whole time.
Yep, top 10 anime betrayals. Hell yeah.
Yo, literally, I got anime betrayed so hard there. Fucking Christ. Holy shit. Okay. Go ahead. The next.
Okay. All right. Number 5 is nice. It's a quick, simple one. No campaign should be run in a single system. This one was interesting. I actually...
Is there more to that?
I had me a... No, it's not. That's it. I had me a think on this one. And I honestly, I don't know if I agree, but I would kind of want to try it. You know?
I disagree, but I have seen it done. In the first season of Adventure Zone, I think they ended up going from D&D to some other system. I think they actually went to 2 other systems. I don't remember. Like towards the end of their first campaign, adventure, whatever the hell you want to say. And it was interesting, but you can tell that the guys who were playing were kind of confused because they're so used to, D&D. And then me as a listener being like, I have no idea, like, did we just switched games? What's happening?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
I think this is sort of with the understanding that there's like an equal level of proficiency in both games.
They straight up, the whole thing is no game should be run in solely one system.
Yes. That is the exact verbatim quote.
Or campaign, they said.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, I disagree with it because it's a blanket statement, and I intrinsically disagree with all blanket statements.
So
but
yeah, that's problem number one. Is it's a hilariously blanket. I mean, blanket is like the blanket is so large it's covering several continents level of blanket statement. I mean, this blanket's covering the whole U.S., most of Mexico, and bits of Canada. So, okay. I'm gonna, because we don't have any more context, I'm gonna assume this goes one of 2 ways. I'm gonna think about this on 2 sides of the argument here. Okay?
Yeah.
One side, this is some sort of weird attempt to force people to play something other D&D, and I'm a cranky wah-wah boy because no one wants to play other games. So I'm gonna say something sort of inflammatory to like get a rise out of people for that reason. In which case, I would say that's dumb. There are plenty, especially because there are many tabletop RPG systems that are very succinctly and tightly designed to give you a very specific experience for a very specific kind of game. So the idea that you're going to slap another game in there like halfway through or whatever is just ridiculous. I mean, let's use Blades in the Dark here. Blades in the Dark is very specifically designed to be a game that is about running your criminal empire and doing heists, or not even heists, but doing like, illegal missions, doing like criminal missions. It could be stealing, it could be drug running, it could be smuggling, it could be extortion, right? But that Blades in the Dark is very specifically designed to, you play criminals trying to run a criminal empire, doing illegal activity to run your criminal empire. If you're telling me that like halfway through I should just swap over to D&D and run my criminal empire in D&D, that is brain dead stupid.
That's like, let's go do the Waterdeep Dragon heist, and then we'll jump into Blaze in the Dark, which probably, maybe, could work.
Actually, that transition in that direction might work a little bit better. But
then from Blaze in the Dark, where do you go from there?
You don't.
Like, that's the thing. Like,
you don't.
Sort of how I envisioned it, right? Is if we take something like Dark Heresy, right? It's a Warhammer 40k TTRPG where you play as like inquisitorial acolytes. And let's say in your Dark Heresy game, you have to siege a hive world, right? Because of some crazy Nurglite bullshit going on. And you're getting to the bottom, you get to the Underhive, and of the 5 players, 4 of them get murked, right? So as opposed to being like, well, we're gonna just make the characters, like make a whole new party for the characters, you go, oh, well, the Inquisitor is sending you on a top secret mission. And then you get thrown in with a Space Marine, a Skitari, and like a sanctioned psyker, and then you switch over to Wrath and Glory. That I could be like, this is kind of interesting. I like what's going on here, you know?
Okay, but that whole example, Isaiah, that you just listed out is, first of all, very clearly, if you were doing something like that, it'd be very clearly planned. But also, that's going from a system representing a specific setting to another system representing the same setting in a different way, right? So that's a good, easy transition, you know.
Well, if like, you want to do it like setting agnostic, right?
Sir, you could do D&D to Pathfinder, right? Because you're very close to each other in that sense.
Well, I was gonna say you could it would be a bit of a stretch, and I'm acknowledging that it's a bit of a stretch, but you could do it with, say, Pathfinder to like Shadowrun, where it's like, oh, the big, you killed the time god, big fucking portal opens up, you get dropped to 100 years in the future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And people like Samurai Jacked.
Yeah. And people have suggested crazy shit like that. Like, oh, my D&D players got to level 10. I threw them in the portal. Now we're playing Monster Hearts in high school, you know, like, or whatever. Like, yeah. And people have totally suggested that kind of wacky woohoo shit. And in that regard, those are fun ideas. But again, we lack the context.
We do.
For what the
lack
fuck this person is saying. So we're filling in what this person said with good ideas, right? Even though they could have been thinking really dumb shit, and we don't know.
Fair enough.
So the more charitable take I will take on, that's a weird sentence. The more charitable look I'll take on this, I guess, is that what they're saying, even though this is a really poor way of saying it, but what they're trying to say is you should add homebrew elements from other games to your game. So they're not literally saying you should switch the entire system so much as they're saying good mechanics from other systems you can add to your normal system to better your campaign. And if that's what they're saying, I agree. But I don't know if that's what they're saying.
Just like Z-Basher, you can just jerry-rig anything in the 5e and it'll just work.
I mean, no, that's a shit take. I mean, no, but to say it in a, I know you were fucking around, Matt, but genuinely, for example, you can take, I know because I've done this, you take the what's it called? You take the extended project mechanic from Blades in the Dark, the long-term project. You take the long-term project mechanic from Blades in the Dark and you graft that onto D&D, and now you have a much easier to use crafting system and or just project system in general that you can utilize for your D&D game. If that's what this person is saying, that sort of a thing, totally agree. But I have no fucking clue because they just said a really blanket, really broad, really dumb statement. So,
yes.
I'm going to say it's a shit take by virtue of you just didn't give enough details. Like, it's so broad that it has to be a shit take because of how fucking broad it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's too big of a blanket. Like, that, yeah. It's a shit take by virtue of being a blanket statement. That's where I fall.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm without context, I'm inclined to agree. I think with some inferred context, not a shit take. I think actually it could be a pretty decent take, honestly.
Yeah, no,
it's a cool idea.
There's totally cool ideas. There are totally cool ideas of switching systems mid-campaign or jumping to another system for a short period of time or grafting the mechanics of another system onto your game for a specific part of your campaign. You know, we're playing Shadowrun, but I want to have a space battle, so we're going to graft the starship mechanics from Stars Without Number onto Shadowrun for this one portion of the campaign. That sort of thing. There's totally cool ideas you could get it, but it's so fucking vague and broad. And also the word no campaign, like no campaign ever, is like, you just, like, no, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
What I do find interesting is you and I had completely different ideas for what that could mean.
Right, exactly. That's like, that's the problem.
Well, yes, that is the problem. But I think it's a fascinating sort of like thought experiment for if someone were to hand you this statement as it is and say extrapolate. it leads to some interesting branch offs. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, I could extrapolate this lots of ways.
You could, and we seem to have done that exactly.
Yeah, so it's like
that as well. I don't know why I left you out, but yeah.
Yeah.
All good.
All right. You ready for take number 6?
Shee, let's go.
I'm having heart palpitations, but sure.
Oh, don't worry, it's fine. This is a good one.
I'm waiting for the one that'll get me as mad as Josh.
I actually don't know when. I don't know. But
Yeah,
a good
same.
one is, as much as possible, PCs should only know what their characters know. This means GMs roll for all PC perception checks behind screens. That players never get to see spell or monster lists, etc.
I know I've been on record with the
ladies and gentlemen,
the last bit.
This is an Omega level shit take.
Yeah.
Well,
This is an Omega level threat to humanity.
So I will say this: the players never get to see the spells and monster list thing. This is a big thing. Like I do have like a little pet peeve with, because it's like, you know, like players players shouldn't look up monster stats. Players shouldn't look up. Actually, spells I don't. You know,
Yeah, I
no.
was gonna say spells. You're a little hard pressed on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, spells are fine, but like monster list, monster stat blocks.
Okay, Matt.
Like,
You're coming at this from a. All right.
well, this is just the one little tiny nugget in this. The rest of this whole thing, fucking garbage. Like,
Okay.
terrible. But like that, like I'm taking a nugget from this and making it into a different kind of idea in general.
Okay.
I'm not saying like players never see spells and monster lists. That's fine.
Let's start with the
that's
nugget.
not what I'm saying.
Let's start with the nugget. All right. I get where you're at, because a lot of people are like, players should never look at monster stat blocks. Sure. The problem is, this is basically an impossible ask. If you ever have a player who wants to run the game, they're going to look at stat blocks. If you've had a player who's played in a shitload of games, even if they don't look, they're going to start to memorize things about monsters. You're going to know when you're fighting revenants, oh, we have to kill them with fire or radiant damage. You know, it's an impossible ask. Now, I'm not saying that in the middle of the fight while you're playing the game, the player should bust open the book and start looking. No, I'm not saying you should do that. But if you want to look at the stat block in between sessions after the fight's over and we beat the monster already, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. You know, maybe you want to just see something about the monster. Maybe you're curious about how a specific ability works. Maybe you're thinking about running the game in the future and you really liked that monster, so you want to look at it so you can commit it to memory. There's lots of reasons to potentially look at the monster book, and you're not always necessarily going to be a player. So it's basically just an impossible ask to say never look ever, you know? However, you are correct you are correct, Matt, in saying that you shouldn't go out of your way to look at the stat blocks. That's a no-no.
Well, I think, and we've argued about this too a little bit, where it's like, you know, I just agree with it's an impossible task if you build that trust with your player group, but I do think it is a hard one. I will say that.
Well, what I'm saying is it's basically again, even if they don't okay, let's say it's not about trust. So this is what I don't like how you're framing it. It's not about trust. It's just what happens because there's so many circumstances where you're going to potentially end up either looking at the stat block or memorizing the stat block. Like even if they never
I'll
ever
give you a couple
look.
examples then. So if there's a player not expecting to run the game ever, doesn't want to run D&D ever, just a player, what do you say to that guy?
They might still want to look at the stat block just to like see like, oh, what's the cool monster ability, or like look at the artwork in the book,
But
or like
there's no need to. They're not planning on running the game. You know, if they want to look at art or the lore or whatever, yeah, that sure.
I mean,
like looking at the stat blocks, like what this thing does.
I mean, what
like
does it matter if you fought it 10 sessions ago?
Well, it's one of those things where it's like the monster could always come back. You always have DMs, sometimes they
Yeah, sure. I'm totally going to bring up the CR5 goblin again when on their level 15. Like, I mean, yeah, you can, but like, come on.
Well,
go for it, Isaac.
Well, yeah, sorry. All I was going to say is I sort of see it like I don't see it as particularly practical to tell like your players don't look in the monster manual if you're like playing in my game.
No, it's not.
It's
Especially if they bought the books themselves.
True, there's that, and there's like the difficult argument comes into, oh well, you don't need to, and if you sort of extrapolate this to a logical end, you don't need to do a lot of things. Like, you know, you don't really like need to strategize in D&D. You don't need to build a character who's good at what. You can just sort of like let the things go and do what they like, let them lie where they lie, but you do them because you want to, right? This is the argument for like, well, you don't need 6 cars. No, you absolutely don't. You in some places arguably don't even need 1, but you want them, you know?
Well, I still disagree, but I'm just gonna.
No, I mean you can. That's fair.
We'll be here
I also don't agree with or not don't agree, but I don't. The idea that you said a player who's never gonna GM, I think every player should at least think about GMing.
No, I know. This is going for the idea of what I brought the example. This is like, there's a player out there, never wants to run D&D, doesn't have an inkling, doesn't want to even try it, or has tried it, maybe doesn't want to, and it's like, you know what, I'm happier being a player.
Sure.
Like that was the person I meant.
I feel
someone like, yeah, all right, yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like you're attributing malice to something really benign.
Well, I'm not really coming from it as like you did wrong, you bad.
You kind of are. You're kind of saying you're bad for looking at the monster stat block, so I can't surprise you anymore. Like,
well, that's not what I'm saying.
I mean, that's what it sounds like over here.
Oh.
Then what are you saying?
Because again, if you're a player, you shouldn't be looking at monster stats. Because I've had instances where it's like, what if you want to do the thing that Sam did? You just want to change the stat on the side, a monster ability on on the fly, or add it to him. And then you have the player with the book open and be like, actually, DM.
Well, no, okay, but see, this is what I'm saying. I didn't say okay.
Well, see, that's the thing.
No, you're misinterpreting my words here, because that's not what I said. I didn't say the player should be sitting at the table going, actually. Obviously
that's what happens.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about. Me and Isaiah are talking about between sessions. The session is over. You guys fought a werewolf. The player goes, oh, I wonder how the werewolf curse ability works, because we didn't get to see it in game, but I'm kind of curious. Looks at the monster black, like, oh, okay, that's how the werewolf curse ability works. Oh, okay, that's interesting. And then closes the book and moves on with their day. I'm not talking about a player sitting at the table strategizing how to beat the monster by looking at the monster manual while you're fighting the monster in question.
But that curse ability thing, what if that comes up later? What if, like, you know, they look it up after the session?
Okay, oopsie.
Next week, then they... Well, no, not oopsie.
Well, you didn't know it was going to come up.
Real quick. I believe it. I personally, I've said this before, I personally believe that it's if a player's like, wait, but they don't have that ability, you're the simplest response that is totally valid. They do now.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate. It really is, like, because
also
for a player to believe that you are automatically wrong by homebrewing a stat block at all, giving it a separate ability, a higher DC, more health, more AC, to believe like, well, I can't believe that they would do that. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Yeah, and I'm not like this isn't. This is like something like I don't have this real issue with my table. Most of this is just something like it's not really an issue I deal with, but it is a thing that I find like I don't like the idea of it.
Okay. Sure.
It's fair. I think you're allowed to have this opinion, but I think it is worth challenging, right? Like, yeah. Because we might maybe one day have an example that changes your mind. We might not, but we might.
I think you're correct if the player in question is specifically looking at stat blocks ahead of time for the express purpose of knowing how to beat the monster that they're about to fight. Like, you end session and the werewolf appears and then the players say, all right, we're going to start, like, next time we play, we're starting with the fight. And then the player looks at the werewolf stat block before the session with the express intention of, I'm going to figure out how to beat the werewolf by looking at their stat block. Yes, then you are correct, Matt. But that's not the kind of person I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone who's just looking casually or has played a whole bunch, so either they memorize it or they've seen it once or twice. I mean, like, come on, you're gonna you're gonna get mad at them if they were like hanging out with a buddy and a friend's like, oh, look at this cool stat block or something. Like, there's so many scenarios where you're gonna run across the stat block. That's why I say it's basically impossible to say you can never look at any stat block ever. That's why I'm saying it's like an impossible ask, because there's so many scenarios where it's gonna come across your path.
Okay, real quick. I have an interesting hypothetical, Matt. You're completely fine to disagree with this wholesale, but hear me out.
Okay.
What would you say to the player who wants to do something like a blood hunter or like a monster hunter ranger, and it's like, oh, I know a lot about goblinoids. So they go through at the beginning of the, like, you know, if you talk with the DM, you're like, I know about goblinoids. Would you be mad if they were like, oh, because I specialize in goblinoids, I looked up a few goblin stat blocks. I know what they do because that's what my class does.
It depends what level they are. Like, there's so many things that would go into that. If they're like level 1, I'd be like, yeah, no. If they're level 5, I'm like, all right, maybe.
But that's
like, I like that stuff. I like that researching stuff in game.
But that's
like,
you
character.
adjudicating on the fly. Up to you. Like, that's a really hard thing to adjudicate. Because that's you being like, well, level 5 makes sense, but level 1 doesn't. Some players might be like, yeah, but my character is super old in their backstory, and they're level 1 because they haven't been adventuring for a while, so they like lost levels, but they've been around, so they would know. Like, there's like
it depends. It's one of
a little
those,
too much
really,
on the fly there for me.
All right, what about an extrapolation on this hypothetical? What if they're like, okay, I only looked up goblin stat blocks that are CR 1 and below. So they're always like, I looked up the stat block because it's below my level.
It's still like, I still don't like it. I still disagree with it. I don't like it. Like, I like it when like the players want to do that research in character, in game. Like, until you're like, it doesn't matter if your character, like, we're starting at level 3 in the campaign. Like, you wrote this whole backstory up, like you're Goblin Slayer, you've been hunting goblins for years. Until your character touches feet, you don't know like shit. I'm sorry. I don't care. You don't know the goblin stat blocks. You might know some lore because that's your thing. And maybe as a DM, we work like, you know, your player asks you like, hey, I want to make a Goblin Slayer guy. What would I know? And then you talk about it. And depending on their background and stuff, but like, I like that to be in game. So.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. All right. Let's see.
We're going back to the actual shit take.
Yeah.
No,
well,
I'm not.
We missed so much of it.
I'm done. We can move on from this one.
We only did like half. Okay, sir, come on. We only did.
We did the important part of it. We all know that was the only part of the shit take that mattered.
No, I think
should.
I think the first one is the one that we skipped over. PC should only know what their characters know.
I mean, that's a fucking dumb thing to say. Do we even need to justify that? Like,
yeah. I mean, I feel like I kind of do, just because of the.
I mean, I do that too sometimes.
If think about it this way. A PC should only know what their characters do. If you're a level 20 wizard, that's impossible. Like,
it's literally impossible.
You literally can't.
Well,
you literally can't know that.
Okay,
like,
this is what annoys me about this one. Before I got mad at Matt, like, this is what annoys me about this one specifically, is the idea of all PCs can't know, or how'd they phrase it? PCs should only know what their characters know. Or
yeah, that was it.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I have a problem with this statement. Player characters should only know what their characters should know. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, your player characters are playing a game of bunkers and badasses. They're not. It's the meta of the players playing players in the game.
Player, what do you mean you're not an electrical? What do you mean you're not a net runner? You don't have cyber implants in your brain? What? Then you can't use your cyber deck.
The meta. You're
just
playing a bunch of monsters who are playing as adventurers.
All right.
That's your campaign.
So ignoring that fuck up of syntax there.
No, I think that, yeah, they should only know what their characters are. I don't think that's a fuck up in syntax. I think that was a perfectly
no, it is a fuck up, because what
statement.
the person meant to say was players should only know what their character knows.
Yes.
That's what they meant to say. They put player characters. Yeah.
Yes, but a lot of people just refer to players as PCs.
I know, but it's still, if you break down the acronym, it sounds really dumb.
Yes.
But anyway, you have the level 20 wizard example, who's got the 20 intellect or whatever. Sure. Yeah. But here's the other problem, and this is the real crux for me. Your players are not fantasy adventurers every day of their life. Your characters are fantasy adventurers every day of their life. There are things that your characters would know and remember that you as a player in real life are not going to know or remember because you have to go to work at your accounting job in the morning. So it's stupid to be like, oh, well, if you don't remember, this is usually where it comes up, right? Oh, I don't remember why X or Y thing happened. Oh, well, then your character doesn't remember. No, it happened to my it happened to my character yesterday. My character would remember. It happened to me, the player, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's like, hey guys, does anyone remember what they how many gems we found last week? Jim, oh, you didn't write down, so I guess you forgot. It's like, all right, come on, man, you could have just
exactly.
You just tell me how many.
My character, Throndir the Ranger, would remember how many gems he picked up because it happened to him 5 minutes ago. We cut last session at the end of the dungeon. He wouldn't forget how many gems are in his bag 5 minutes ago. I have to go to work. And last week when we ended session, I had a very stressful day the day after. So no, GM, I don't remember how many fucking gems are in the bag, so lick my balls. That one gets me, as you can tell, particularly annoyed. And now I'm done being at Matt, because now I'm mad about this.
Yep, I knew this. Yep.
God damn it.
Got him. Got him again. I got him to mold.
Yeah, you definitely got me to mold. I wasn't even actually mad at Matt, by the way. I'm mostly just taking the piss. But I am mad about this. Because I have seen GMs legitimately do this shit. I've
experienced this. It is a
yeah. You know, like just picture, right? You're playing your game on Sunday night, and you get to the end of the dungeon, and you collect all your loot, and Throndir, the fucking ranger, has 500 gold in his bag, and he's like, sick, when we get back to town, I'm gonna spend the shit out of this. And then session ends. And then, you know, you're in college, you have classes on Monday, you have a test, you're stressing out, you gotta deal with the test, and then, oh shit, I have a project I gotta do by Thursday. I do all this work, all right, Friday comes around, I'm just gonna chill for a bit, because Thursday was a rough day with the project and everything. I got roasted in the critique. I guess we're assuming this is an art student.
I guess we're an art school now.
yeah. I got roasted during the critique on Thursday, so Friday we're gonna hang out with the boys. We're gonna go to the pub that's like down the road. You know, Saturday rolls around. Oh, I gotta do some homework for my Monday class. Sunday rolls around. Oh, sick, D&D night. Oh, GM, how much gold did we pick up? Oh, you don't remember? Then I'm not gonna tell you. Bro,
you didn't write it down. What? It doesn't exist.
Yeah, bro, suck my left nut. Excuse, sir. You wanna do my homework for me, dickhead? You wanna come in and do the critique, you son of a bitch? Like, that's the shit.
I think I've done something like this once where it was like one of those random, like the players found something, and so I randomly rolled what it was, and I'm like, all right, you find this. Next week rolls around. Hey, Matt, do you remember what we rolled for that random thing last week? Ah, shit, no, that was like a random spur of the moment thing. What did the dice say? We got a 6. All right. No one wrote down anything. The fuck did we roll a 6 for?
Yeah, well,
like that.
I have done that. I have done that.
If everyone forgets, then you're just shit out of luck.
Yeah. I have
that's
a whole
the thing.
ass.
We're all like,
Remember, I've told people like experience for like boss kills, and I just like forgot to write it down, and then most people didn't write it down or keep note of it, or like remember what the addition or subtraction to their actual XP was, and I was just like, well, I don't know. You got 1,000. Congrats.
Yeah, I'll just guesstimate.
Yeah. I have been there. I've done that. All right.
But like the other big thing I think that's worse is the second line where it's like GM rolls for PC's perception behind the screen.
God,
like
I don't
that,
even.
Like
what?
that's like the thing. Like I know back in older editions they like the GM would roll your stealth checks. There's a part of me that's like, that's interesting, but also I don't like that.
Also, I don't want to do that work.
Hold on. I don't think that was a rule so much as like a very commonly accepted homebrew type thing. To be fair, I don't think that was a rule in the game. Yeah, but there's
like the perception, like
there's an interesting idea behind hiding certain kinds of roles. The stealth roll is the one that comes up a lot, right? Because the argument with the stealth roll is, well, you don't know how stealthy you're being because you don't know who's looking for you. Which is like, yeah, you have a bit of an argument there. But yeah, I think the diffusion of workload outweighs that premise for me. You know? Like, it's a cool, interesting idea, but like Isaiah said, I don't really want to have to do that every time. I don't want to have to remember or write down every player's stealth bonus and all that. Like, It's just not. I just want to tell the player roll a stealth check for me, you know?
Well, I have like in your, because like on, I don't know, other probably virtual tabletops do this, but I have my own like little DM screen that has like little notes of like, all right, everybody's passive perception checks. Everybody, who knows what languages, so I know what the fuck like I can call out if I find something in like deep speech. Like,
I mean, and you could do that, and that's fine. But I still just, I don't know. I'd just rather tell the player they're gonna do it.
I'm gonna be real. If my GM did this to me, like they were like, I want to adopt this rule. Assuming this wasn't done from the beginning, right? Because if it's done from the beginning, you kind of shit out of luck. But if they were like, we're gonna start doing this now, I'm just gonna be a troll and be like, but my GM, my passive perception, I'm just gonna say my passive X, Y, and Z. I'm just not gonna care. I'm 100% okay with being a troll and dying on that hill.
You're just like, well, I have the alert feat and the observant feat, and
but GM,
my passive perception is 22, GM. Fuck you.
It's gonna be like, Isaiah, make a con save, but GM, I have alert. I'm just gonna start doing shit like that.
This is the, you ever watch there's the guy on YouTube, Dan. He just made that video. He's like, can I roll a perception check to see what's in the room? You mean investigation? No, I want to use perception so I can look around and find the thing. It's like, you mean investigation? You know what? Actually, no, I don't want to do that. Can I perceive the guards into not killing me? It's like, no, because the guards kill you and you die.
Yes.
And then you perceive that the guards stab you and you die.
I would do that. Yeah, 100%. That would be me.
I mean, although I will say, Isaiah, you don't think there's any argument and or convincing reason that someone could give where they roll some of your stats for you, kind of thing?
No, that's what I'm saying. If that's what was agreed upon at the beginning, then fine. I'm saying in the niche situation where GM's like, I'm gonna start doing this now.
Without asking, he's just like, this is a new rule. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to start using the encumbrance rule now. No!
Okay.
Midway through a campaign.
If someone did that to me, I just stopped. I'm just going to not take track of any of the weight. I'm just...
Yeah, I mean, if you do it midway through, that's some shysta.
Yeah. All right. We've been on this one for a while. We only got 3 more, and then some honorable mentions.
Ooh, dog, poo, poo.
So we're going to go with this one. Having a mechanical system for influence is a waste. It should be reflected in the narrative and not by using points to buy favors and other things.
Big thumbs up. Big thumb.
I'm not even sure what they mean by this.
Good take.
I based on the context that I garnered from the comment section on this one, and there was a lot of them, so there's no point. I believe their argument was that basically charisma skills should just not really be a thing.
See, I don't think charisma skills shouldn't be a thing. I think this, because my immediate thought goes to the whole influence action shit.
Yeah, I don't think
that's where my head goes.
I don't think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
you think this is just more of an overall, like, any...
Yeah.
So the second sentence should be reflected in the narrative and not by using points to buy favors. That almost kind of sounds like they're making fun of the system in games like Dragon Age, where you give a character gifts and then they like fall in love with you type thing.
Oh,
that's kind of how that. So I don't think they're necessarily talking about the influence action. If they're saying, I mean, yeah, this is another. I would extrapolate, please, sir, because I don't. I get.
There's only so many words in my tweets, Josh. There's only so many.
You can string some tweets together. It's fine.
I don't want to use Twit longer.
You don't have to. You can literally just string tweets together.
Yeah. So to specify, a question and the further response was the question: what about something used to establish contacts and relationships, or is that not considered influence? The response was that doesn't need a mechanic.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's where I disagree. No, I think this person is trying to basically be like, oh, you don't need a mechanic to reflect certain things. You can just like play it out. There's so many problems and scenarios where having a mechanic can be useful, or designing something can help a player out, or it can make the game more interesting. I mean, this is basically a shit take because it's too blanket of a statement. You know, like I have seen games that have a mechanic for how you can influence or sort of use points of favor to get an NPC to like do something or nudge them in a specific direction. And it's cool and interesting. And also, you know, the place where I think a mechanic like that, where, you know, an influence mechanic, if you will, is really cool and helpful is, let's say you have a player who's not let's say you have a player who's the opposite of me and Isaiah, and they don't talk that much, and they're not like they're not gonna like talk over anyone, they're not gonna push to the front of a conversation necessarily, or they're not gonna push to the front while in play, but they want to play the Spike Spiegel character. They want to play the face. They want to play the pilot of the ship. They want to play the shit-talking bard, right? Like, they want to play that character, but they, in real life, are not necessarily like that. By having a influence mechanic, I don't even like the word influence mechanic, but let's just go with it because that's what they put. By having an influence mechanic, you give that player the ability to have the power fantasy of being the cool, charismatic face character without having to like learn how to be charismatic in real life, which is kind of like an unreasonable request, you know? Like, if I want to play the super strong orc, I don't have to prove that I'm really jacked in real life in order to play the strong orc. I just get to play the strong orc because I have a high strength stat, I have athletics, etc., etc. So having influence mechanics, if my power fantasy is buff orc man and your power fantasy is cool bard leader of the group, we can both have our power fantasy because we both have mechanics to reflect it. So that's where that kind of stuff comes into play. And on top of that, having a mechanic for doing the thing where, you know, if you're playing Shadowrun and you're like, man, we need someone to help us break into a building, and then you can play the character who's like, I know a guy. Having a mechanic for I know a guy can make it really cool, and also it can do lots of fun things like introduce a new NPC that your GM wouldn't have thought of before, or introduce a new facet of a character's backgrounds. There's so many ways that you could do a cool and interesting like influence mechanic, that this is just like a dumb and this is again the same problem. Too blanket of a statement, too broad, dumb.
Yeah, like the Strixhaven book, like one of the only good things I'll say. It has a whole relationship thing, and yeah, I have the monkey with it, but it gets players to actually want to roleplay and talk with other NPCs and have connections, and they gain bonds or boons if they're like frenemies and stuff. It
encourages certain. That's the other thing is you can use a mechanic to encourage certain kinds of play.
Yeah, I mean, the I know a guy one was something I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Burning Wheel, circles.
I think there's literally a gambit in Hellscapes called I Know a Guy.
I wouldn't be surprised. Have I told you about circles, Isaiah?
In
Sounds
Burning Wheel?
familiar?
I think so. Yeah.
It's basically you have a stat that's called it's a stat more or less that's called circles. And whenever you need to like call upon or create an NPC who is useful to you and some like you need someone to help you out with something, you roll your circles, and the GM, the more specific you are, the more difficult the circles roll is, and the more broad you are. So, for example, if you roll circles and you say, I just need to find a guy who owns a house, the GM's going to be like, all right, well, lots of people own a house. That's only obstacle 1. I need to find a guy who owns a house, who also owns a gun, who knows how to fix that gun, and who also has military training. All right, now you're getting really specific. Obstacle 4. You make the roll, and basically the NPC exists whether you succeed or fail, and what the roll does is dictate their relationship to you. So you might fail the roll, and then the guy who owns the gun exists, but he's pissed off at you or something, or you owe him money or something like that, you know? And that is an incredibly good example of a quote unquote influence mechanic, you know?
Yeah, or further, I mean, the relationship one, I guess. Yeah, like that's
Yeah, they also did this in the I don't remember if it was in the Tal'Dorei book or the Wildmount book, one of the Critical Role books.
It was Wild, yeah.
Where they had the background, the Chronicles, yeah. And then James Hay made one specifically for the Forgotten Realms that I fucking loved and would have loved to use. because it's just interesting. It's like you can have like kind of like in your wheels, you can have an NPC who's like I think one of them's like a were-tiger. It's like one of your friends is a were-tiger. However, your relationship with them is rocky because you stole something from his dad, and you're like, what the fuck? You're like, wait a minute.
And like, it's just because they're a were-tiger. No shit.
Yeah, right. You think the were-tiger thing would be a problem, but it's actually not. It's the most normal thing about it.
We could talk to Steve, but I don't know if we should do that. Why? Well, because he's a were-tiger, and like he's usually pretty good for it, but there is a chance he rips one of our throats out. It's a fucking Beorn from The Hobbit, where they're like, well, when he's a man, he's pretty chill and he's probably gonna help us. And they're like, wait, what do you mean when he's a man? Well, there's this thing where he's a bear sometimes. A lot less chill.
Yeah.
Oh, that's This is good. All right.
Yeah, basically, once again, if you cast a broad, wide net blanket, you're probably gonna look like a poo-poo head.
Here's one.
Got him.
GMs who fudge dice shouldn't get upset with players who fudge dice. If you as the GM, I can't even finish this with a straight face. If you as the GM ask your players to trust you that you know best when the game will be made better by altering a dice roll, why don't you give the same trust to your players?
First of all, they put an extra T in tabletop RPG. I don't like that right off the bat.
Matt, you actual fuck.
Matt.
I don't remember. I think I've mentioned this once in a while where I think the only thing I really like fudge as a DM is like health of monsters. That's really it. Because like I roll 20, I didn't know for the longest time that you can hide your rolls. So I just automatically rolled in the open.
Oh my
and now
God,
I'm just like, fuck it. That's fine. This is how it is now.
So, I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, it doesn't even matter how much fudging you do or don't do. That's not even what the person is saying is like.
Right, but like, yeah, you shouldn't get mad. Like, it's hard on a tabletop perspective because you can't really do like a virtual tabletop because you can't really cheat unless it's like, hey Billy,
no, you totally
I noticed
can.
that your stats say you have a +10 to your unarmed strike. Yeah, man. Oh shit. I don't know how that happened. My strength went from 15 to 30. Geez. Let me fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of focusing. You're kind of focusing on the wrong thing here, though, Matt. This is less about the fudging itself and more about this person talking about like trust issues.
Right. Well, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting to like the fudging, like being upset with full fudge dice. You as GM, trust the player. It's If you as a GM ask your players to trust that you know what's best for the game when the game will sorry, I just fucked that up so badly.
Yeah, wait.
If you ask a GM,
read it again.
If you as the GM ask your players to trust that you know best when the game will be made better by altering the dice roll, why don't you give them the same trust to your players?
This statement is predicated on the assumption that the players and the GM are sitting in the same seat of power. They are not. And you can't assume that the players and the GM are equal in this regard because they're not. Because social contract is that I, as the GM, have a greater sway over how this goes because that's what we all agreed to here. And the idea that, if you fudge dice, your players should be able to fudge dice because they can also make the game better. Well, no. They're going to make the game better for themselves. But when you as the GM are fudging dice, you're trying to manipulate the game for the whole group. And you're supposed to be doing it for an altruistic reason. Now, granted, obviously, you can be a dickhead about fudging dice. But you can be a dickhead about everything in tabletop games, so that's not really an argument.
It's like, GM, can I roll the pickpocket the paladin? I rolled a 30. It's like, didn't you just re-roll it? No, it was cock.
Yeah. It's just first of all, it's just a silly idea to think about players fudging dice because at at that point, why are we rolling dice at all? If everyone's fudging dice, why are we even rolling dice? We're all just making up numbers. Like, what? You know? But also, the point of the players is the players want to be challenged. And that's part of the challenge. And again, the power dynamic is not equal in a tabletop game by design. You know?
DM wanted, he could throw a Terras at your level 3 players and just say fuck you.
And if you have a problem with the power dynamic not being equal, play a GM-less game. Right? Like, or play a solo RPG, you know, which though both of those things exist. And yeah, it's just, if the power dynamic was equal, this sentence would make sense, but it's just not. So this whole sentence goes out the window. Like, there's no other way. There's no other way to put it. It's like, I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed that you are missing the point.
Understandable. I saw this one and it was so fascinating to me. Maybe it should have been an honorable mention. I'm not sure, but it was so fascinating to me.
No, it's a shit take.
Well, yes. Beside that, like, it to me, it sort of seemed like maybe this person, like, the two screens of thought that I had was either this person came from GM-less systems and was sort of not really wise to the idea as to, like, the actual importance of GMing.
Yeah, what the point of the GM is.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or they had a really, really bad GM who they knew was just cheating, like, i.e., like, RPG horror stories, and was like, well, why can't I do that? Which, you know, it's not, like you said, it's not really the point.
Yeah,
it's more of the byproduct of good intent, what is hopefully good intentions.
Also, from a purely, like, moralistic standpoint, the problem to your GM cheating is not for you to also cheat.
True, yeah.
Right? Like, that's that whole, like, two wrongs don't make the right situation. Like, if the problem was your GM is cheating, you cheating in return solves literally nothing. Doesn't solve anything. So, yeah, doesn't solve anything.
No, it does not. I actually, so
this is like, it's almost not it's like, I almost want to say it's not a shit take, it's a misguided take.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't think this is a shit take, actually. I think that there's probably some good intentions behind this take, despite what it literally says. I don't know this, but it seems like there is like a...
Yeah. You're trying to have good intentions, but you're sort of not thinking about it all the way. Like, you're not thinking it through. You're just kind of saying it.
Yeah. I think my final verdict, not a shit take, but I think it is a misguided take, to say the least.
I'm going to say it's a shit take by virtue of just I disagree wholeheartedly.
Fair enough.
But I understand how the person could be misguided. Yeah.
Yep. And for the final one.
Oh, yeah.
I do not mind at all when a GM tells me how my character is feeling. A lot of people seem to really hate this. I personally don't care as long as the GM doesn't try to, well, actually me, if I have a different idea on how my character feels.
Like, I can see, so the only way I can see this with, like, the whole character feeling thing is if it's like, not like a personality thing. If it's like you enter a haunted house and it's like you all get the sense, like, of dread kind of washing over you, or you know get, you know, fucking someone's, you know, like there's an eerie feeling in the air. Not like your character's really sad because they lost their favorite dagger. You know, like, I don't like that. I don't like that idea.
Yeah, you're kind of on the train of thought that I was at there, Matt. The thing about this is getting into psychology a little bit, but the thing about emotions and feelings, you don't have control of them in real life. Right? Like,
well, you have control. Like, you don't have control over knee jerks, I think is what you mean.
Sometimes even more than that. I mean, think about how often you've gotten mad and you're not even really 100% sure why you're so mad about something, but you are, and then you're mad for the next hour and you can't, like, you just can't, you know what I mean? Like, there are many situations where you are not 100% in control of your emotions. So the idea of that in game, you know, there's a certain there's a certain reasonableness there, but with the caveat that yes, you should not try to, because it is a game, you shouldn't try to take over your, so like, even if it's true that you often don't have control of your emotions, you shouldn't try to like take over the player characters. You shouldn't try to take over the player's character. But you can do things like, you know, you can sort of imply the knee jerks and stuff like that. Your character walks into this room and they feel a little uncomfortable. They feel a little scared because of X, Y, and Z thing. Your character walks into this room and they feel a feeling of euphoria for whatever, you know, because of like the beauty of the place, blah, blah, blah. Like, sort of little momentary, this is how your character is feeling things are fine. The crossover of you're going too far is if you start trying to dictate how a character feels in the long term. So like, the character, you know, the player character talks to the king, and then after the conversation, the GM's like, because of the events that happened on the previous week and what happened with the men who died by your side, you feel deeply angered at the king's choices, right? That's when you're going too far, because now you're sort of dictating over a long span of time how the character feels on like an almost like it's going beyond feelings and it's going into the realm of like I don't know what I would call it. Like, you're sort of controlling the character's psychology, like their rational thinking, because that's the thing, is feelings are often irrational. But once you get into the realm of like, oh, I'm also now going to influence your rational thinking, then you're going a step too far.
Yeah, I'd say I agree. I mean, the reason why I specified the knee jerks is I will actually do that with my players. So like, you know, you drop a wrench and your immediate thought is like, shit, you know?
Yeah. Oh, you dropped the wrench, you're annoyed you dropped the wrench. Yeah.
Yeah. The only time where I will go farther than that, I will say possibly, right, your character possibly feels this, to sort of give them an inkling as to like what the situation at large is.
Yeah, your character may feel mad about the situation. Your character may feel stressed out because of what happened. Your character might feel scared because of the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with the intention of them actuallying me, right? Because it's like, oh, well, actually, my character's used to this situation, right? Because they're like, you know, they hang out with the ne'er-do-wells of the city, so they're in their element. I'm like, oh, cool, fucking go for it.
Yeah, you're leaving intentional room to get the actually back.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is.
Yeah, I don't think this is a should take. I mean, this is a weird part. It is definitely different. I
think this is actually a good take.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is a pretty good take. I think this is totally reasonable. Plus, if you sort of give the GM permission for this kind of maneuver, you give some leeway for them to do some fun storytelling stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, if you say to the GM, yeah, you can sort of dictate a little, like, you can dictate to a certain degree how my character might be feeling in a moment, then the GM can narrate, like, they can make things more dramatic by sort of imposing a feeling on your character. You can make things more dramatic and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think
there's a fine line, though.
Yeah, there's a fine line. I think for me, the thought that I had was it's just sort of faster, I feel.
It is, yes.
Because it's supposed to be like, you drop the wrench, holds hand out, and they go, my character's like, shit. Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you
yeah.
drop. It's usually like, well, you drop the wrench. Your initial thought's probably something like, no, shit, and then you go to pick it up, and as you reach for it, it drops deeper, and then we get the pan down shot of the wrench falling through the gear work, and that can set up a plot point. Like,
Yeah, it's totally it's totally a pacing knob that you can control.
it is a good friend. All right.
I guess
That
Matt has no strong opinion on that one.
Oh yeah. No strong opinions about.
Not really. Like I said when in the beginning.
Damn, none of these had you like. Nah, not that one. I gotta try harder. Shit.
Gotta find ones that'll specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt is sort of like.
We got
we
one.
He's
I'm
living his
Captain
life
Chill.
of pacifism. Yeah, he can't.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we got one out of them. Players should never look at the monster stat block.
True. We got some on that one.
Although that was Matt getting annoyed at me rather than the shit take. So I guess maybe mission failed in that case. I don't know.
well, not really annoyed, but both questions.
Mission failed. Never mind. I take it back. Without my input, it wouldn't have been the case. So never mind. You'll have to try harder next time.
Yeah,
I say.
it's something like every time I kill a player, I eat their dice. You know, it's like that. It's like, all right.
It's a choice.
So we've hit the honorable mentions.
Yeah.
The first one, I'm removing some stuff because it's a little politically charged. I will not mention it vocally, but I will tell it to you all. I'll just send you the take. The last one, the last part of this. So the parts that matter are, armor should subtract from damage and not to hit. Many games do this. The world is changing. This hobby is for everybody. That's as far as I'm gonna go.
What? Why would that even?
The one that gets me is if you don't like it, get off because it's a rough ride. That's where I was like, bruh.
Yeah, you can just honestly just kind of ignore that.
Okay, hold on.
The armor subtracts
I do actually
from
want to read this out because it doesn't even make any sense. Am I crazy here to not?
I mean,
it's not. I don't think it's that bad. Honestly,
It's not,
But
yeah.
if I don't know if Isaiah, if you think it's bad, then
I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just, we've sort of hit a firm stance on neutrality in all things. So,
Well, it's just
Right.
a dumb armor should.
Yeah, I mean-
I'm just gonna read it. Fuck it. Armor should subtract from damage, not to hit. Many games do this. The world is changing. This hobby is for everybody. Changes to lore need to be made, and representations need to be added. If people don't like it, get off because it's going to be a rough ride. The first two sentences have
not
nothing to
match the
do
final
with
one,
the
yeah.
final,
then nothing.
with the
yeah.
second half of that.
It literally just ended
So,
there.
It doesn't even matter. I don't even know what they're getting at because the idea of armor to hit versus subtract has
That's what
nothing
Thaco
to do
used
with
to be, right?
representation.
I might be misremembering, but that's what Thaco was, right? Or
No,
is
no,
that-
no.
No. Thaco was essentially. I don't totally.
No, don't worry about it. I just,
Thaco-
it's-
yeah,
I just
from what I
No,
remember,
that- basically,
AC was a
lower-
gauge that had to be drained until it hit 0.
Lower AC was better in Thaco.
right. That's where a lot of people started getting into the minuses, and it was like, oh shit.
Lower AC was better. It had nothing to do with subtracting damage though.
But yeah, if you
never mind.
subtract the damage, so like if
Yeah.
you like the fuck like unless
mean-
you'd have to change how the armor system would work if you wanted to
Well,
do
okay,
that.
here's the thing. This is not even okay. Ignoring the completely unrelated the world need representation, whatever, because that has nothing to do with the first part. Just look at the armor part. There are games that do this. Star Wars does this. When you get hit, you have a soak value. Your soak value you subtract from the damage you take.
Kind of like shields in Halo, like
Yeah, Dungeon World also does this. Whatever your armor is, you subtract from the damage you take.
Oh yeah,
So-
that's why weapons like Pierce exist. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are games that do it, and yeah, in a lot of games it works good, and that's fine. In some games it works, some games it doesn't. Some games use it, some games don't.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
This is
Well, I mean,
okay,
yes.
bud, whatever.
The thing that got me was if you don't like it, like almost like these changes are going to be made and you need to be on board with them.
Yeah, well,
That third sentence, it seems like
If you don't, again, the first two sentences don't make any sense with the if you don't like it, like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
You sort of have to like, because it's the conclusion, you sort of have to read them in the context of them that being there.
There is no context though, because it makes no sense. The world is changing, the hobby is for everybody, and everybody demands you subtract armor from damage. Like, what?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Huh?
Is like,
what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
That's sort of where I was at.
It just doesn't make any goddamn sense. You're just blowing smoke up at, like, I don't, okay.
The second one, this one's for you, Josh. Ready?
Oh, so stupid.
Honorable mention number 2. Dragonborn are just kobolds for cowards.
Based as fuck.
Dude.
Absolutely based. That's the take of the century.
Fuck yeah, dude. I was like, this. I was like, did Josh write this?
I didn't, but I would have.
I love that one. I just
amazing.
Yeah.
My guy.
Not a whole lot to discuss on that one. It just
just a base
how
take.
Could you say something so bold yet so true?
Just a base take. I don't know what to tell you.
Honorable mention number 3. They're dice. They're not shake weights. You're trying to produce a random number, not burn calories. My answer, fuck you. Let me clickety-clack my clickety-clack Macroth. Math rocks. Let me click them and clack them as much as I fucking want to.
Whoa, math rock.
My argument, my argument is, porque los dos. I can burn calories and throw math rocks. What the fuck? Yeah. Maybe I'm practicing for the jack I'm gonna have later. Like, you don't know me. Damn, chill, bro.
If it's that big of an issue, just get that player a dice tower.
Get him a dice tower if you're gonna be a whiny bitch about it.
Bro, I feel to me, dice towers are just like, no.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think I want to roll them my damn self. No, I don't like them.
Although they do look cool. A lot of them.
You can get really cool ones.
Some of them do look cool.
I disagree
like, the ones
with them
that are pirate ships, dragon's mouth.
Yeah, they look cool, but it's like, if you got the clickety clacks, you gotta clickety clack them. Don't let something. This is the AI art problem.
Yes.
At that point, then at least get them a dice tray or something, so they can at least roll in a particular square.
Oh yeah, well I mean the argument is just they don't want to hear the
argument is they're jerking it too hard when they're rolling them.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna do it even harder because of this person. I hope you're happy, random person on the internet.
Yeah, right. Fuck.
Have you thought about dealing with it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you thought about just being like, I don't know. Like maybe you chew damn loud. How about that, huh? What if I gotta deal with you chewing loud as fuck?
Probably does.
Huh?
This person probably does. Ain't even gonna lie.
All right, final one is this one gets me I picked this one because it got me mad. Improvised weapons should do more damage than regular weapons.
That just makes no logical sense.
No, it doesn't make any fucking. Yes, this 2x4 should do more damage than a Great Maul. Yeah,
Jim, I picked up the bowling pin. It's got to do more damage than the fucking battle axe.
This chair I have way better than my battle axe.
Yeah. Right. Maybe the take should be improvised weapons should do more damage than regular weapons to you. Yeah, this shard of glass I'm using, it's not particularly doing well against this armored knight, but my hands are fucked. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, like I don't even. What?
That's just a meme. There's a meme take.
Yeah, no, this again.
I would
much like take number 2. I sat there mauling.
I would love to hear them genuinely try and argue that one.
Next time, we all gotta.
There were no comments.
We'll find something to defend.
God, I would just love to hear that argument.
Josh, Iron Golem this argument right now. You got it.
Yeah.
Improvised weapon? What?
Yep, on the spot. You got it.
It doesn't make any sense.
All right, here, give me 20 seconds on the clock.
maybe they're trying.
See that pussy over there walking around with a great sword? Why would you want to do that? When I could just use anything. You see this chair? My weapon. You see this elderly gentleman? My weapon. You see this dog? My weapon. The world is my weapon. You have to go to a shop and buy one? Bitch, I can use anything. I can use this rock. In fact, I am going to use this rock. Oh no, the guard heard me.
I don't know if that was much of an Iron Golem statement, but it was a good pitch.
I love. Oh no, the guard heard me.
I don't know. I maybe what they were trying to just say is improvised weapons should be a little bit better.
They should be better for sure.
Maybe that's what they were trying to get at.
They should do more damage. Sir, I don't know if you've ever looked at a baseball bat. It's not particularly pointy. You can't stab with a bat. I mean, if you're strong enough, I'm sure you could figure it out.
Don't they even say improvised damage is like a D10 base? Right?
What was that?
Isn't like a improvised weapon base damage like a D10?
No, it's D4.
D4? Oh, what am I thinking?
I have no idea.
There's something in a DMG where they're just like, here's some random damage if you don't know what to do.
Oh, that's improvising damage if like something happens to your players that you feel like should do damage, but there's no dice for it.
Right.
Now, you know what actually handles this pretty well? Hellscapes. Because its improvised weapons are damaged out by weight. So something less than a pound does a D4. Something 1 pound to 4 pounds does a D6. And they have it for slashing and bludgeoning. I think 6 pounds to 10 pounds does a D8 or a D10. And then I think that's high. I don't think anything does a D12 because asking someone to haul around something that weighs 20 pounds is just not fucking practical. Yeah, I think it goes up to a D10 and it's all done by weight. And I was just like, yes, that makes sense. Yeah, if you wanted to do fucking slap Happy Jack, there is some viability there for you.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, that's all of them. That's it. That's me done. I'm done.
Off the roller coaster.
We are off the roller coaster finally.
We did it, gamers.
I think which one was the worst take?
One that made you the most mad, probably.
I know.
Bitch.
Probably number 5. Yeah, probably number 6 then.
What was number 6?
PC show they know what their characters know.
Yeah, probably that.
For me, probably 2. It's probably 3. The should be culled from your table. Just the arrogance.
Let me say though, number 2 was fighting strong the whole way.
Yeah. Nope, that's fair.
God damn.
You know what? That person should be culled. How about that?
Hey, you way, yo, whoa, way.
What happens, Larry? What happens?
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
I say nothing.
Your silence is acknowledgement. I know what I need to know. All right, that's us. That's been this episode. If you want to support us, you can follow us on the YouTubes and basically anywhere.
What the fuck did you just say?
The YouTubes.
No.
Support us.
Say it normal. I don't like the way you said it there. That didn't.
What?
It sounded like you were
What's
saying.
wrong with cool with?
It sounded like you were saying Jew. And it was awkward.
That's how my Hispanic aunt says YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she goes, it's the YouTube.
Why are you making fun of his hand, Josh?
Yeah.
God.
Follow us on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Ring-a-dang that bell.
There is no bell
like,
anymore.
comment, all that fun. Follow us on Spotify and
Can't say ring the bell anymore, Isaiah. There is no bell.
Oh, that's right. That's not a thing anymore. Fuck.
Well, I mean, they just moved it into the subscriber thing now.
Yeah, they made it dumb now.
Yeah, but you can't just click it. It's not. You don't ring it.
It's
anymore.
dumber than it was already.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah. Go look through the archives to find out how to make it so you can see when we upload shit. Follow us on Spotify.
It's pretty simple. We upload on Wednesdays.
Yes. Sir, can you stop trying to hijack this?
Well, you're kind of all over the place.
That's why I'm doing it. Yeah. Follow us wherever you can get podcasts. We're there, literally 90% of them. Yeah, that's about it. Just give us a thumbs up, give us a good rating if you like this, and if you don't, why don't you let us know why? And that'll be us. Yeah.
I think I talk too much and should shut the fuck up. Tell us in the comments. Spotify has comments now, by the way, so you can do it on Spotify too.
This man's still doing it. Goddamn. Okay.
What?
I finished it. You're like, hold on, I got some extra things to say.
Well, because I was just because you didn't know about that, did you?
And I didn't actually. Fair enough.
There you go.
Yeah. Audience, did you know? Tell us in the comments that we now know.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have any particularly spicy takes, please send them our way. Because if they're dumb, I'll let you know. I was being nice this episode. I'll take off the kitty gloves next. That's it. We're done. Bye.